By the age of 26, Milton Hershey was penniless. With 2 failed businesses behind him, he was an unlikely candidate for success. Yet Mr. Hershey, a man with steadfast convictions and an insatiable curiosity, turned his story from rags to riches by persevering, eventually selling his caramel company for $1 million to devote all his energies to making chocolate. Milton Hershey created one of America's most beloved brands. He made milk chocolate a treat all Americans could afford. Milton Hershey was born on September 13, 1857 in the small town of Derry, Pennsylvania. He only had one sibling, a sister named Serena, who sadly died from scarlet fever when Milton was 9 years old. His mother, Fanny, was a devoted Mennonite. His father, Henry, was a dreamer who was constantly starting new jobs and working on his next get-rich-quick scheme. Because Milton's family moved so much, he didn't get a very good education. By the time he turned 13, he had attended 6 different schools. Even though he was smart, it was tough on Milton to always be changing schools. After the 4th grade, his mother decided that Milton should leave school and learn a trade. Milton's mom found him a job as an apprentice to a printer. One day at work there, he accidentally dropped his hat in one of the machines. Because his boss was hot-tempered, he was fired shortly after. His father asked Ernst to take him back, and he did decide to give him a second chance, but Mattie Snavely, his aunt, and his mother had a different idea. They wanted him to learn the trade of candy making instead. Milton's mom helped him to find a new apprentice job with a candy maker. In 1872, Milton went to work for Joseph Royer at the Lancaster confectionery shop. There Milton learned about the art of candy making. He made all sorts of candy including caramels, fudge, and peppermints. He really enjoyed being a candy maker and knew he had found what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. When Milton was 19 years old, he decided to open his own candy business. He borrowed money from his aunt and uncle to get the business open. He opened the shop in the big city of Philadelphia. He had all sorts of candy products and he also sold nuts and ice cream. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Milton worked, he couldn't figure out how to get his business to make a profit. He worked harder and harder, but soon he ran out of money and had to shut his business down. Milton wasn't one to give up. He moved to Denver, Colorado and got a job with a candy maker where he learned that fresh milk made the best tasting candy. He then opened another candy shop in New York City which was initially successful but lasted only 3 years, then this shop failed too. Hershey returned to Lancaster in 1883. He borrowed money from the bank to start the Lancaster Caramel Company, which quickly became a success. He used the caramel recipe he had obtained during his previous travels to make candies. Also, from his previous travels, he learned that caramels sell better in bulk, so that is what he did. A man from England visited Lancaster. He loved Hershey's candies once he tasted them and placed a big order to be delivered to Britain. Hershey was able to pay off his debt and had money left over to buy more ingredients and equipment. By the early 1890s, Lancaster Caramel Company had grown, employing over 1,300 workers in 2 factories. After traveling to Chicago for the World's Columbian Exposition, Hershey became interested in chocolate. After a long time of deciding, he took a risk and sold Lancaster Caramel Company for $1 million to start the famous Hershey Chocolate Company. Hershey initially acquired farm land roughly 30 miles northwest of Lancaster, near his birthplace of Derry Township. There, he could obtain the large supplies of fresh milk needed to perfect and produce fine milk chocolate. Excited by the potential of milk chocolate, which at that time was a luxury product, Hershey was determined to develop a formula for milk chocolate and market and sell it to the American public. Through trial and error, he created his own formula for milk chocolate. The first Hershey bar was produced in 1900. Hershey's Kisses were developed in 1907, and the Hershey's bar with almonds was introduced in 1908. Hershey's milk chocolate quickly became the first nationally marketed product of its kind. The factory was in the center of a dairy farmland, but with Hershey's support, houses, businesses, churches and a transportation infrastructure accreted around the plant. Because the land was surrounded by dairy farms, Hershey was able to use fresh milk to mass-produce quality milk chocolate. Since Hershey and his wife could not have children, they decided to help others, establishing the Hershey Industrial School with a deed of trust in 1909. In 1918, Hershey transferred the majority of his assets, including control of the company, to the Milton Hershey School Trust Fund, to benefit the industrial school. The trust fund has a majority of voting shares in the Hershey Company, allowing it to keep control of the company. Milton Hershey conceived of building a community that would support and nurture his workers. Developing the community became a lifelong passion for him. Hershey built Hershey Cemetery on Laudermilch Road in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey's wife Catherine died of an unknown disease. In 1919, Hershey moved his wife Catherine's body from Philadelphia to Hershey Cemetery. Hershey's mother Fanny Hershey died and she was buried in Hershey Cemetery. In late 1930, his father's body was moved there. Hershey died of pneumonia in Hershey Hospital on October 13, 1945, at the age of 88. Hershey is buried at Hershey Cemetery, a cemetery which he built, on Laudermilch Road in Hershey, Pennsylvania. At the Hershey School, there is a bronze statue of Milton Hershey with an orphan boy wrapped in his arms. Below the statue are these words, "His deeds are his monument. His life is our inspiration." September 13th is International Chocolate Day, which is also Hershey's birthday. In 1995, the United States Postal Service issued a 32-cent stamp for Milton S. Hershey, which honors him as a philanthropist, as part of the Great American series. In addition to leaving us with America's most iconic chocolate bar, Milton S. Hershey left behind a legacy of goodness. It's a story of persistence, spirit, compassion, selflessness and purpose.